What's going on, Nerd Squad, and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. I'm your host today, Taylor McWaters, and guys, with the Snyderverse being this living, breathing creature now with the Justice League Snyder Cut finally out for all of us to watch, what else can we dream perhaps of one day seeing? I know, we just got that, and now we're like, what else you got? What started out as a trending hashtag turned into a 4-hour Justice League film, and with the new trend, Restore the Snyderverse, fans are already speculating where it could go. So with that being said, here are the top 10 movies we want to see in the Snyderverse. Let's do it. Kicking off the list at number 10, The Atom. There are new characters sprinkled throughout the 4-hour cut. One of them is Zhang Kai, who plays a character named Ryan Choi, aka The Atom. He made his first debut in Brave New World issue 1. He was Ray Palmer's successor, and he's actually the 4th person to take on the mantle of The Atom. Now, the scenes with Ryan were cut out from the theatrical version years back, but during the movie, Ryan reveals that he's the director of nanotechnology. In the comics, when he moves to the United States from Hong Kong, he takes up Ray Palmer's position at Ivy University. So Ray was the previous Atom in the comics, and Ryan and Ray had been in touch for a long time, and then Ray left him the size-changing belt, which Ryan intended on using exploring the microscopic world. So although powers weren't mentioned, there is an origin story in there to explore. And given the fact that this is specifically the 4th iteration of the Atom from the comics, we can hop in this story anytime. Given the fact that he's currently an employee of Star Labs, it makes it even easier to write him in the current Snyder timeline. So do it. And before we go on with our list, guys, if you haven't already, please go ahead and give this video a like, because those thumbs up help the channel out quite a lot, and while you're here, you might as well hit that little subscribe button at the same time, because it wouldn't hurt either. You guys are the best, thank you so much. Now back to the list. Number 9, Green Lantern. In the Snyder Cut, we also got to see not one, but 2 Green Lanterns. One of them we see and they're already deceased, sad, but it does resemble the Lantern Kilowog. Now the other one we see during the epic flashback with Darkseid is we see a lantern that looks pretty similar to Yalan Gur attack Darkseid, and in turn he gets his lantern hand cut off before receiving the final blow. So his ring floats off to find the next worthy bearer, but that's about all we see in terms of lanterns in the Snyder Cut. But originally Zack wanted more. Of course he wanted more, he knows what he's doing. So Snyder actually had plans at one point to bring back Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan, but it never fully came around to happening, which I'm okay with. You can stay in the Deadpool stuff. Don't come back over here. You don't want any part of this. But during an interview with Vanity Fair, Snyder revealed that he shot a scene with the Green Lantern, John Stewart. But Warner Brothers told him that they already had plans for Green Lantern and he couldn't shoot additional footage. So while we're due for a Green Lantern series at HBO Max, we could still hope for Snyder's story to be told to some degree with Kilowog and Yalan Gur. That character at the end was supposed to be Green Lantern, but instead it turned out to be Number 8, Martian Manhunter. Harry Lennix played General Swanwick in Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and he was supposed to play the character in Justice League, but he didn't make the cut. Now, a storyboard was revealed back in 2019 from Zack Snyder, revealing John Jones as Martha, aka Martha Manhunter. Now, with the release of the Snyder Cut, we finally get to see Martian Manhunter. He floats down and introduces himself to Bruce Wayne, but who exactly is this new alien superhero? Well, John Jones is a law enforcement officer from Mars who became a police detective after becoming marooned on Earth, and he made his first debut in comics back in 1955. Now, the fact that he's been in the Snyderverse since Man of Steel, I feel like we could for sure use a little history lesson on HBO Max even. Just give us a show with 6 episodes, like The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I would love to see how we got to Earth and became General Swanwick in the first place. Also, in his first issue, we meet Dr. Erdel, and when John Jones transforms, Dr. Erdel has a heart attack, so he's so shocked. So maybe this was the same origin story, and this compelled John Jones to stay hidden in the Snyderverse. Also, so tragic to be like, hey, check out my true form. You're dead. Sorry, not gonna show my true form ever again. Bye. Number 7, Justice League 2. I know we're still trying to absorb and take in the events of the Snyder Cut, but once upon a time, we actually had 3 Justice Leagues in the works. So post Snyder Cut release, the director was interviewed when he said the sequel was supposed to show the fall of Earth. Justice League 2 would have mainly took place in the nightmare future, which is amazing because that means we've been getting teases at Justice League 2 since Batman vs Superman, back when Barry gave Bruce a warning from the future.
It's Lois! Lois Lane! She's the key!
So he says it's Lois Lane, she's the key. key. So for the planned sequel, it was planned that Lois would meet her fate tragically because Bruce failed to protect her. Now Bruce was protecting her while Superman hashed it out with Darkseid, but Superman ended up getting the anti-life equation, Lois Lane bites the bullet, and now we have Superman on the evil side. That would have been Justice League 2. How amazing does that sound? So we're all freaking out about more Nightmare footage. Meanwhile, we could have had an entire Nightmare movie. I hope the hashtags work because we need the sequel ASAP. Number 6, a Flash sequel. Another amazing addition to the Snyder Cut was Kiersey Clemons. She made her debut as Iris West, and it's been announced since that she's on board to reprise her role in a future Flash movie. Now we got a deleted scene with her back in 2017 when the first Justice League attempt came out, but then when Joss Whedon was called in to finish the movie, she wasn't asked to go back and film anything else. But now we finally get to see that scene with some more hot dogs and beautiful music. It actually made me laugh out loud, but it also gave me goosebumps. It was the perfect scene. Had every emotion in 1 2-minute mark. Bam. A newspaper reveals that this scene takes place in Central City, the hometown of Barry Allen from the comics. So already we have the playing field for a solo flick. It's already there. There we go. Barry also visits his father inside Iron Heights Penitentiary, and with the Flash's solo flick being moved now to November 2022 due to COVID, Billy Crudup has sadly dropped out of the Speedster solo flick in order to film season 2 for the morning show, which landed him an Emmy. So fair, that's fair. You're gonna go do that, get an Emmy, cool, Mr. Cool Actor guy, whatever. So we won't be seeing him again, but instead we'll be getting Ron Livingston play Henry Allen in a sequel. Number 5. Flashpoint. So another huge question that has fans scratching their brains now that we've seen the Snyder Cut is, will there still be a Flashpoint movie? Will the Flash sequel be the Flashpoint movie? Who knows? Is Michael Keaton still on board? Outlook is looking a little hazy. So according to the 1992 Batman actor Michael Keaton, he said in a recent interview that he called them and said, "I have to be honest with you, I can't look at anything right now. I'm so deep into this thing that I'm doing. Also, I'm prepping another thing I'm producing, and I'm getting ready to go down the road in the fall for something else that I've been in, and I feel responsible to that. So yeah, there's a lot going on. I'm not being cute or coy." So that's concerning. Maybe he might not be back for the Flashpoint movie, maybe he will. So this Flashpoint movie has been in the works on and off so many times, with the film going through 5 different screenwriters and 5 different directors. So who knows at this point if the Flashpoint movie will ever happen, or if it'll be the same as what we thought it was gonna be. If we were to get a Snyderverse Flashpoint though, it would make the most sense, and it would probably be the most successful even without Michael Keaton. Hear me out. So the opening credits on Batman vs Superman, we see Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Lauren Cohen play Bruce's parents. 2 amazing actors in such a small opening scene with no dialogue. Interesting. So the Flashpoint storyline is that Bruce Wayne got shot that night instead, and his father turned into a hardcore dark version of the Batman, and his mother turned into the Joker. Now these actors would have knocked that out of the park. Jeffrey Dean Morgan actually took to the internet and said, "Michael Keaton swooped in and took my gig." Nah, I think that's super cool. Ever since Zack Snyder walked away from the project, my whole kind of bit in that world has walked away with him. However, there's always a chat going on. So we'll see. Hey, I mean, we've seen more Snyderverse since, so hopefully if Keaton does step away, the original plans do come back and we get an even better Flashpoint movie than we kind of thought we were gonna get after the already announced Flashpoint movie. I'm confused too. Number 4, Justice League 3. That's right, if your mind was blown when I talked about the planned Justice League sequel taking place mainly in the Nightmare timeline, well, there was once a 3rd movie planned as well. It was supposed to take place after the Flash had run back the timeline following Superman going dark. So Batman would have to sacrifice his life, and Superman then becomes the leader of the Justice League. Zack Snyder planned on Superman having an even bigger arc than he already does. He figured if anybody can go all the way with Superman, Henry Cavill was the guy to do it. I agree, I mean fans have been screaming for a Man of Steel sequel, so hearing what we almost got makes us want it even more. It's like, hey, you almost got something even better, but no. No, I don't like money, so no, get out of here. After Justice League 3, it would have been 20 years in the future, and it's been confirmed that Lois was indeed pregnant in the Snyder Cut. So Superman and Lois' son was planning on being Bruce Kent, aka the new Batman to step up. On the anniversary of Batman's death in the Snyderverse, they would have taken young Bruce Kent down to the Batcave and say, "Your Uncle Bruce would have been very proud that you did this." So that sounds like an amazing movie, but maybe we'll see it when I'm 76, when the hashtags work. I don't know. Number 3, Aquaman 2. So during the Nightmare sequence, we see a number of additional characters. One of them being Mera. Only this time around, she's representing as Queen of Atlantis. So with the current release date for the Aquaman sequel falling on December 2022, we're looking forward to seeing Super Life Under the Sea continue. Now, if we were to see a Snyder version of these characters, we could see Mera as the Queen of Atlantis a little longer than we did in the Nightmare sequence. Now, her hair is noticeably longer in this sequence, and she's rocking Aquaman's trident. So while this may have been explained in the cancelled Justice League 2 Nightmare sequel, it would still be a time to see how life below carries on, while No Man's Land was nothing but a dusty wasteland up above. I would have loved to see that. It's like part 1, part 2, part 3, and then part 4, Superman goes good. Yeah, done. Number 2, Batman solo flick. Okay, so I'm very excited for the new Batman movie. Robert Pattinson looks great. Paul Dano is playing the Riddler. He's such a good actor, and I have so much faith in Matt Reeves. It's gonna probably be at least good. But now after we saw Batman and Deathstroke in the same Nightmare sequence, fans are hoping that we get a little more in that field as well. Please, because Joe Manganiello has been attached to the role for years, the poor guy, okay. It went from a Batman movie with Ben Affleck being canceled, then Deathstroke had an origin film that was canceled, so that's 6 months of work just gone down the drain. And then they altered his post-credit scene in the first Justice League that alluded to a sequel that was also canceled. And then there was a version of the Suicide Squad 2 that got canceled as well. Damn. Then there were talks of a Deathstroke Deadshot movie, which canceled. Also canceled. I mean, if we could get maybe like, I don't know, one of these projects to work, that would be great. That Ben Affleck movie would have been so good, but I mean, oh well, you can't complain too much. Just a little, you know, you can complain a little bit. But when it comes to Joe Manganiello, like, dude, I would sue them. I would sue them or go in dressed up as Deathstroke with the mohawk and be like, where's my millions of dollars? Because like, that's a lot of work. Number 1, Granny Goodness and Desaad origins. In the Snyder Cut, we see Desaad a little bit. He talks to Steppenwolf every now and then, checking in on how the whole, you know, planet ruling is going. But then there's another character standing opposite to him when the big 3 finally come face to face with the Justice League. There's Darkseid, Desaad, and who is this other person? Who is she? Who is she? Her name is Granny Goodness. She made her first comic book debut in DC Comics with Mr. Miracle issue 2, and she's a sadistic and cruel lieutenant to Darkseid, and she commands the female Furies with Big Barda. So she's kind of a big deal, but she had no lines, sadly. Weirdly. It would be interesting to see Mr. Miracle's origins in a flashback while we explore more of these characters. Like Mr. Miracle, for example, that would be an amazing origin story with the new gods. See, Mr. Miracle was the son of the Highfather Isaiah, the ruler of New Genesis. And in order to stop a destructive war from going down on Apocalypse, Highfather traded children with Darkseid. So we gave him scot-free, the only orphan to escape the grasp of Granny Goodness, and then in turn, they got Orion, Darkseid's second son. What a trade. Honestly, an HBO Max series about Granny Goodness could work. Just cast Gwendolyn Christie and then make it an origin story. It would slap, because she is so bad. I loved her in Game of Thrones. Well guys, there you have it. Look, never say never when it comes to getting these Snyderverse movies back on track. I mean, Ezra Miller was cast back in 2014, and then finally in 2021, we get to see him run back in time in order to save the Justice League from Darkseid. I mean, that sentence alone just gives me enough hope. So get those hashtags out there and perhaps we can see one of these movies come out of Snyder's brain and into our eyes. I've been your host, Taylor McWaters. You've been you. Thank you for watching Top 10 Nerd, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.